Hi guys, it's Sarah, otherwise known as Little Snips, back again with another video. This is video number 31, and it is January 31st, 2019. I actually did this video yesterday, and then in the process of editing the video, I deleted the whole thing. So, I'm doing it again. So if I sound a little bit exasperated at times, I hope you understand and you forgive me. Because I've said all of this before. I just have to do it again. Quick note, I did this yesterday too. If you notice the gloves on my hands, I mentioned that I had some health issues in the last year. I have some nerve issues, and so I do wear, pressure gloves, crafting gloves on my hands most of the time. They are different colors. One of them is dirty brown right now because I need to wash it. Sorry about that. The other one is orange because that's what color they happen to have, and that's what I got. It's not a serious issue. I'm not losing my hands. I didn't break anything, but you will see them flying around in the background, so we have to deal with that. I hope all of you are doing well. Thank you if you are a returning viewer. Thanks for coming back, and again, thanks for putting up with my long absences and the gaps in my making videos. I'm gonna try to stay on track this year. Keep your fingers crossed that nothing terrible goes wrong. But yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to come back every couple of weeks. Like so the first video was on the 15th of the month. I was planning on doing another one on the 30th, like I said yesterday. So that's my plan going forward, every couple of weeks. Obviously in February it'll be the 15th and the 28th. But that's what I'm gonna try to do. So, like I said, fingers crossed that everything works out. What else was I going to say? I have to remember all the things I said yesterday. I sound a little bit congested, at least to me, so hopefully it's not too terrible on the video. Got a little sinus thing going on, but that is not going to stop me from making a video. So, what's been going on in the world of floss tube and cross stitch that I wanted to talk about? The first thing I wanted to mention is that I have been trying to watch some videos that I'm subscribed to. I'm not watching everybody. I am certainly not caught up. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to try to go back and watch all of the months old videos. I'm mostly trying to stay up to date and sort of current now. So I have been watching some people. I have been watching Bendy Stitchy. I have been watching Stitchin' Mommy. Kelly Bell, Kathleen's Trodden Trail, Gleeza, of course, when she posts videos, which are wonderful. Keep doing them. I've watched a couple of people who are new to me, or floss tubers who are new to me. I watched several of the Sunshine Stitchers videos. The Sunshine Stitchers are a trio of stitchers in Florida, and they're a lot of fun to watch. It's nice to see groups of people doing videos. I've tried to talk people into doing it here, and maybe someday we will. It's definitely, I think, probably a little bit easier outside of trying to get everybody's schedule to line up. It's probably easier to talk if you have more than one person doing videos. There's more productivity, there's more variety in stitching, so yeah. But I've watched some of their videos. I watched North Carolina Stitcher. She mentioned that she was doing videos now, and I did go and watch her first one. So it's really great to see more people coming in and doing floss tube videos. And if you're thinking about doing videos, I watched Kitten Stitcher, Teresa. I watch her videos as well, and in her, if maybe not the most recent, but one of her recent videos, she asked for suggestions on what to tell people who are going to make floss tube videos. One of the things that she came up with, or the people who made suggestions came up with, is that you should try to find something that is unique and different. Something that stands out and makes you not just another of the, hundreds of floss tubers that are out there, which, let me disclaim that and say, there's nothing wrong with just showing cross stitch. There's nothing wrong with being just a floss tuber and showing us what you're working on. We all work on different things. We all have different tastes. And if we didn't want to see the videos, we wouldn't come and watch them. We wouldn't be encouraging more people to make videos. So if all you have to do is show us your cross stitching, please do that. Please don't be discouraged by not having something unique to give us. I thought about what I have to offer, and I realized that having taken a really long break and having been gone for the better part of a year, my uniqueness, I'm going to stop doing finger quotes, air quotes. My uniqueness was diamond painting. I think I was one of the first people who brought diamond painting into flosstube. And since I've been gone, many more people have gotten involved in diamond painting, which is fantastic. But it did sort of take away my specialness. I mean, let's face it, when Danielle, Stitcherista, is doing diamond paint with me videos, yeah, the shiny on that issue has been worn off a little bit. Go and watch them, watch her do diamond painting, watch her talk about diamond painting. Please don't stop doing that. But yeah, me saying that that's my special thing, it's not special really anymore. So I think my special thing is really these guys, which are the snakes behind me. And since I don't bring them out often, and they're not, you know, flying around in the videos, I don't know how special that makes me. Maybe I can be known as the Snake Lady. I don't know. But if I do other crafts, I do crochet, I do knit, I do make toys. I don't know. I'll try to think of something that's unique and see if I can bring that into my videos. If you can think of something that you have heard me talk about, or you want me to talk about, or you think I should try as something unique, let me know. I'm certainly open to suggestions and yeah, thoughts and all that sort of thing. So you can leave them in the comments down below, and I will do my best to incorporate them. And I just realized that I forgot something, so hang on, I'm going to pause the video and go get it. Right, it didn't need to be grabbed right then, but I remembered it right then, and I figured if I'm remembering it now, I should probably go and get it. So, the diamond painting thing reminds me of the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is Michelle Saeta of Heaven and Earth Designs recently posted on their Facebook group that she was talking to a vendor about making diamond painting canvases. She had found somebody who was interested in and willing to print patterns onto canvases for her. It would be for a pre-selected number of patterns, a pre-selected number of sizes of patterns. So not that you could choose your own pattern and have it printed, but they would already be chosen for you. And she asked whether we, as people who are interested in doing Heaven and Earth designs as diamond paintings, if we would be interested in paying the price that this printer was asking. The benefit to getting it from Heaven and Earth Designs would be that you don't have to wait for a shipment from China. You don't have to buy it from China. I know some people have issues with that and have concerns about it. It would be a United States-based dealer, so it would be shipped directly to you if you live in the States. If you live overseas, obviously that's not as much of a benefit to you, but for those who live in the States, it would be. The issue at hand is the cost of the service. Now, again, it would be a pre-selected group of patterns in a pre-selected range of sizes, and the base price, she told us, was $145 for the canvas alone. That does not include the diamonds, because Michelle has looked into sourcing diamonds or providing diamonds for diamond painting and found that it just requires too much space and too much manpower in order to do that. So it would not include the diamonds, it would just be the canvas, and the base price of that canvas would be $145. Now, I like Heaven and Earth Designs. I have several on the go. I have a lot more patterns in my stash, as many of us do. I have nothing against Michelle or the company. That said, $145 for a pattern that is not something that I can choose. Like, I can't just pick any pattern that I want and not any size that I want. I can't specify the size. That seems like a lot of money to me. So, in my opinion, that's too much to pay for a diamond painting canvas. I don't have a problem waiting for China. I don't have a problem getting blank canvases from China and the diamonds from China and having them shipped. I've had it done a couple of times. I didn't have any issues with it. Anyway, I don't have a problem with that. So my opinion is that the $145 price tag on a canvas from Heaven and Earth Designs or from this printer directly is too much. That's me. If you are interested in giving feedback on that, there was a post on the Heaven and Earth website, or rather the Facebook group, asking for opinions. It may or may not still be open to comments. I don't know. I didn't check. If it's not, I'm sure that you could email Michelle at her Heaven and Earth Designs email address and let her know what you think. If that's reasonable for you, if it's not reasonable, just give her some feedback, because I know a lot of people are interested in doing the Heaven and Earth designs as diamond paintings. She just needs to know what's comfortable for the majority of people. Okay. Right, I think that's all of my talky business, though every time I say that, I have to go back and say, wait, I need to add something. So, who knows? For now, I'm done. And I'm going to start showing you things. To remind you, or to tell you if you're not aware, I blanked out. Again, I did this yesterday, and I just blanked out again. Hate that. Right, I am working on the stitching roulette theory of stitching this year, which is I have a roulette wheel that chooses what I'm going to work on from day to day, and I follow it. I've had a couple days where I didn't actually get to my stitching, so I just move it another day forward. But it does mean I'm stitching on things for one day only, and I stitch on them when they come back up on the wheel. I'm finding that I really enjoy this. I get bored and I work on a lot of big projects, and I tend to get bored if I'm working on the same thing over and over and over again. So this helps a lot by keeping me interested and engaged and changing what I'm working on. I'm also a member of the School of Magical Stitching and Literature, I believe is the name of the group on Facebook. It's run by Kate Lowe and Vicky Snyder-Hartwell, who are doing an amazing job with a huge number of stitchers who all have questions and issues and problems, and how they're managing to keep us all in control, I don't know, but they're doing a fantastic job. It is a Harry Potter inspired, Harry Potter based Facebook group. We have weekly challenges. There are yearly extra credit challenges. There are reading challenges. You can still participate if, like me, you are not particularly a Harry Potter fan. I don't hate the books. I don't hate the series or the idea of Harry Potter. I'm not as big a fan as a lot of people are. But you can still participate. You can still use your projects to stitch along, and you are sorted into a house. You have a group of people you can hang out with. You get to see everybody else's interpretations of the prompts and their projects, and it's a lot of fun. So, yes, I'm part of that as well, and that also helps with my switching things up and stitching on everything. I will probably touch all of my works in progress this year, which was a goal of mine, so that's good. And anyway, that's what I'm doing this year, so you're going to see a lot of things. You may not see a lot of progress on them, but you are going to see a lot of things. Fair warning. So the first thing I'm going to show you is I actually have a finish. It is not a fully finished object, but it's actually a finish, which is kind of impressive for me because I haven't really finished, well, I finished one thing last year and that's it. In the last couple of stitching, I finished one thing. Now I've finished two. They were both small things, so you don't blow trumpets or, don't throw confetti yet. And when I finish something huge, that's not true. I finished three things. I finished my mother's tablecloth, if you recall, if you've watched me from the beginning. So I finished three things now. The tablecloth deserves confetti. This deserves a light round of applause. But it is a Mill Hill kit. It is my first Mill Hill kit, and it is the Winter Bird. It was from a winter holiday collection. I'm not going to tell you how many years I worked on this for something this small that should have been done quickly, but it's done now. It is finished. It is not fully finished. I will put this on felt and use it as an ornament probably, but it's finished. If you are familiar with Mill Hill kits, you know that they tend to come with a lot of extra beads. So I decided, since I finished it, and since we like to pass things on, I figured I would pass along the pattern and what is left of the beads in the package. And there's quite a few of them. You should easily be able to stitch the bird and bead him and have plenty of beads left over. You might even be able to pass it on again. I am not sending you the floss. The floss on the pattern is listed with DMC colors, so you can find that relatively easily from your own collection. I am not sending you the paper. I am not sending you the heart charm that goes on the bird. That one is attached to mine. And if you want a heart charm on him, you're going to have to substitute something. I am sending you the magnet. There was a magnet in this kit, and I'm not using it, so I'm going to send that along to whoever wins. So I'm going to give this away. Disclaimer on this, I can be kind of slow to send things out, as those of you who have gotten patterns from me in the past know. I will send this in the next couple of weeks. That is my promise to you. So it's not going to be months. It might be a couple of weeks, but I will get it out in the next couple of weeks. If you are interested in stitching the Winter Bird, which again looks like this when it is finished, just say something in your comment below about wanting to stitch the bird or being interested in the bird. I will put you on a list and I will draw you next time, which should be somewhere around the 15th of February. I will send it anywhere, so I'm not going to limit this only to the United States. Please don't say anything about giveaway. As you are aware, if you've been watching flosstube for a while, flosstube is not private, so anybody can wander in. I would rather have somebody who is actually a stitcher and who might actually stitch the bird at some point win this than have a random person win it just because there's a giveaway. Right. And that's it. That's my giveaway. Right. Showing you the things that I've worked on. These are in no particular order. These are things that I've worked on 1, 2, it just depends on how many times they came up on the wheel. But I did get some progress on them and I'm sharing that with you. The first one is my Janlin kit. I believe it's a Janlin kit of Resting Tiger by Jane Netley Mayhew. And this is where I am. And I'm going to struggle with this yesterday. I'm going to struggle with it today on being sure that you see what I'm showing you. This is where he is now. The majority of this, the body at least, was already stitched when I got this. I got this from a swap between my local stitching group. But you can see that the ear is shaping up. The head is starting to have a little bit more shape. There's some detail of the striping around his eye socket. I worked on this for a couple of days in the last couple of weeks since I've seen you last time. And yeah, I'm having a great deal of fun. Like I said, having a good deal of fun working with the roulette situation. The roulette rotation. You're going to hear a couple things crinkle. I apologize for that. Right. The next thing I'm going to show you is the... Oh, and I forgot something else. I might pause the video again and go get it. We'll see. I'm going to show you the Linen and Threads Stitch Along from 2018. This is a free stitch along that Brandon Kirk has been doing for the last several years. Last year it was called Medieval Menagerie, and this is what the majority of the month of January looks like, in my colorway anyway. This is on a piece of 18 count Aida that I dyed myself. It is about twice as big as it needs to be, so I have extra fabric, which is a good thing. But yeah, I worked on this side. I worked on the gold curlicue plant, whatever that thing is, ornamentation. And I have to finish the rest of this month. There is another bird on this side and the other side of the ornamentation. And then I can move on to February. Obviously, I'm really behind on this one, but I'm not in a rush. It's not going to anyone, so I'm not pressuring myself. And I'm not pressuring myself in general. I don't feel like pressure helps me finish stitching anything. I just tend to put it off because I get stressed out and then I put it off. So that's where I am on Medieval Menagerie. The next one I'm going to show you is my Spooky Halloween Sal, which was a 2017 stitch-along hosted by Lakeside Needlecraft, designed by Doreen Jones, and it looks like this. Rather, it looks like this now. I worked on the third clue, which is this part here. This is mostly stitched in DMC 310. It's obviously mostly black. There are some light effects in yellow and green. If I had known how terrible the light effects thread was before I started stitching, I would have substituted it from the beginning, but I didn't, and I do now, but it's too late to change it, so I struggle with that every time I have to put it in. Light effects, don't use it if you can avoid it. Find something else to use because it's awful. That started in 2017. I did put 2017 in as the year. I will probably leave it that way. This is a Heaven and Earth design, speaking of them. This is a story keep, which means it's narrow and tall, as you can see from the fabric. This is the Story Keep White Nine-Tail Fox by Stephanie Law. I worked more on this. I solidified the blocks that I was working on. You can see there's still some confetti-ish stitching in here, but I've decided that when I work on full coverage pieces, I need to fill in the blocks rather than jump from section to section. Jumping from section to section and filling in colors ends up confusing me eventually, and then I have to start over, or I feel like just giving up entirely, and I don't want to do that on all of my projects. So I'm going back and filling in blocks, and I'm going to work block by block in the future. I will continue to work diagonally, but I'm going to complete the block before I move on to the next one. That may cost me some floss, but I have the benefit of living in the States. Not to rub that in to anybody else, which means that floss is relatively inexpensive, and I don't mind the extra cost of if I have to replace floss because I've wasted it. Right. Anyway, I filled in the blocks on the Story Keep White Nine-Tailed Fox. It's 2 pages wide. This is the first page, obviously. Not finished, but almost finished. I'm getting there, and I'm happy with it. The next one I'm going to show you is my Kokopelli Sampler. This is also a full coverage piece. I don't have a picture of this because I forgot to bring things. But this is where I am on the Kokopelli piece. Again, I went back and filled in some of the border blocks, and I got to this blue corner here, which this blob of green stitching in the middle is eventually going to be a cactus. It's a decently sized piece of fabric, is a decently sized sampler, Southwestern themed, which will fit in with my decorating choices, as I discussed in my last video. And yeah, I'm just having fun stitching on all of my things. I said that, I'm going to say it again. Right, yet another Heaven and Earth design. This is my Cosmica, which, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure which way this goes right now. I think it goes, pretty sure it goes this way. This is Cosmica by Jenna Della Grottaglio Maldonado. It is on a piece of 25 count Lugana. I am stitching this 1/1 full cross, and that is the first page completed. It is 99.9% black. This is anchor black for better coverage, but it's almost entirely black. You guys will appreciate that this is a milestone. This is page 1 of 72 on the piece. It is the only full cover, or full-sized Heaven and Earth design I'm working on right now, for probably obvious reasons. Convincing my husband that a page or a block of nothing but black is a milestone is harder than convincing you guys, so that's why I'm telling you. He was not impressed. I have to bend down. Please excuse me for a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Right. The next one I'm going to show you the actual pattern, because I don't think I did in my whip parade. There is language on this. It's so minor that I hesitate to even warn you, but I'm going to warn you because if you have kids with you, you might want to cover their ears or sing or something. This is the name of the 7 menopausal dwarf. English doesn't always like me. The names of the 7 menopausal dwarves by Sue Hillis. And their names are Itchy, Bitchy, Sleepy, Sweaty, Bloaty, Forgetful, and Psycho. I discussed that I'm stitching this for myself and a friend, and this is where I got when it came up on the rotation this time. I got Itchy done, I got the and stitched in down there, and normally I stitch these 2 at a time because it's on the same piece of 18 count Aida. Normally I stitch them 2 at a time. When I finished it this time, I didn't feel like stitching it again. So when it comes out next time, I will finish that. Or possibly I won't. Possibly I'll just decide that I'm not interested in stitching both of them at the same time. And I'll finish one, send it to my friend, and then do mine whenever I get to it. Letting the pressure slide. Right. Now we get into... no, let me do this one first. This one you have seen, and I'm not sure how much of this is going to show up on the video because it's hard to see because of the fabric. This is a dimensions kit. It is called Oriental Butterfly. I'm calling it Asian Butterfly because I don't like that. But it is, you've seen it, I'm sure. I'll show you the picture, actually. That's shiny and glossy and glary. That's what it will look like when it's finished. I have had the kanji stitched in for a decade at least. Yesterday, this came up in rotation and I started working on actually stitching the actual stitching. I don't know how much of that you can see. It's very pale and it needs to be backstitched in order to really show up. So yeah, it's not exciting to look at, but it did get work done. And I do have progress, and that's a good thing. Sliding into the stitch-alongs now. The first one I'm going to show you, part of the reason why I like the roulette situation for stitching is that I can pull things out and realize which ones I really like and which ones I don't like so much. Which is kind of disappointing in some cases because I really thought I was going to like them more. But it also lets me know what I should look for in the future or things that I might want to avoid in the future, possibly. If I can be convinced not to buy any more stitch-alongs. I'm not buying any this year. I am not purchasing any stitch-alongs. I've said that before. I'm going to say it again. You guys hold me to it. Don't let me purchase any stitch-alongs. Free stitch-alongs are one thing. Because I am downloading a couple of free stitch-alongs that are happening. I'm not stitching them yet, but I am collecting them. But I'm not buying anything this year because I have things I need to finish, as you will soon see. This one is the Faces of Fairy Stitch Along by Joan Eliot. It was released in 2014. I didn't find it until 2017, so I'm very behind. But this is one that when I stitched it, used to pick it up, I didn't like it much. I'm stitching this on a piece of 28 count casual linen doubloon from Picture This Plus, and I just didn't like stitching on it. I would do tiny little bits of stitching and then put it away and be disappointed when I tried to get it again. But the last time I pulled this out, I actually, if you can see, I actually stitched the flowers, finished the flowers and the back stitching on that top section. I also finished them over here on the side. And once I did that, I actually got very excited about finishing the flowers and getting to the actual faces, the fairy faces and the inset pictures that go in the smaller squares in the border. So that's another thing that the roulette helps, is that I might realize that I don't like things, but I also realize that I do like things. So she's getting worked on again today, so you will see more progress on her next time. The next one is the first stitch along that I ever joined. This was the 2016, maybe 2016. I started in the middle of the year, I think. This was the Fantasy Stitch Along by Lakeside Needlecraft and Doreen Jones. I finished the fairy way back in the day, and then the unicorn, and now I am on the mermaid, which is February. Again, this started in the middle of the year, so this was not a January to December stitch along. It doesn't matter. I am working on the mermaid. The mermaid is originally charted as a blonde. I decided that I wanted to chart her with brown hair because I find it very hard to stitch yellow on cream color fabric. I'm also not a big fan of the way that a lot of people chart blonde hair. I don't like the colors. I think they're too pale and there's not enough detail. So I am switching her to brown. So I have gotten the beginnings of her hair stitched in. I may change her skin color to darken her up a little bit to compensate for that. We'll see when I get there. I'm not going to change any other colors. Her tail will stay the colors that they are. So the Fantasy Stitch Along. That is on a piece of, I believe it was MCG Textiles fabric. I don't remember for sure. 28 count. This one, the next stitch along, is another one of those ones where I pick it up and I stitch on it for a little bit and I don't enjoy it. I'm not faulting the designer, I'm not faulting the pattern. I think it's a combination of the fact that I dyed the fabric and I may have shrunken the fabric a little bit, so it's harder to stitch on. Also, there's a lot of white stitching, and as many of us know, white stitches are difficult. They never look the way you want them to. They're never as clean as they should be. They're never as tidy as they should be, and having to do white stitching is just, it's frustrating. So, this is The Fabulous Women by Clouds Factory. This was the 27th stitch along for them, and I'm working on February. I finished January, obviously. I'm working on February. I got the white in the lighthouse for Virginia Woolf finished. Got seagulls done, started on the white in the bookcase, and then I had to put it down because the day was over, and like I said, it's a little frustrating to work on. Which is disappointing to me because I really enjoy, and I really liked their 2018 stitch along, and I would like to stitch it. I think I would enjoy it. I'm just a little bit worried about it because, yeah, because of the reasons I mentioned. Stitching on, I don't remember there being a lot of white in the 2018 stitch along, but I would probably dye fabric and I might shrink it, and yeah. Lots of reasons. So I'm a little leery about doing that, but perhaps, if I can convince myself, or not talk myself out of it. The next stitch along I'm going to show you, however, I really do enjoy, despite the fact that I didn't finish it on time. This was another Lakeside Needlecraft stitch along by Doreen Jones, and this is the Under the Sea stitch along. As you can see, I have finished doing the majority of the stitching, or rather all of the stitching in the shark. He needs to be backstitched so you can see more detail on him. There are some fish that need to go in there, but I really discovered that when I pulled this back out again, I enjoy stitching this much more than I remember stitching on it. Yeah, so I do look forward to working on this again. This is on the fabric that came in the kit. So this is a fabric flare. Printed fabric means it's color on one side, it's an ombre. On this side, it's white on the back. So this is not something that I dyed myself, which may be a reason why I enjoy it more. I don't know. But yeah, that is Under the Sea and the February block of that one. Here's another stitch along that I am working on and finding less than enjoyable. Again, this is something that I dyed myself. I don't fault the pattern. I don't think the pattern is at issue. I think it's me. I dye my fabric differently than I did when I dyed these pieces, so it's possible that I will avoid this problem in the future. I can hope. But this is Happily Ever After. This is by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Again, something that I'm disappointed with in this one, but I really like the 2018 pattern, so who knows. Right, Happily Ever After, I worked on the February block, which is this one, which is Heidi. I, again, did a lot of white stitching. I worked on the cloud shapes in Heidi, which means white stitches, unpleasantness. I also tried to do a little bit of work, where is it? A little bit of work on the central motif here that actually says Happily Ever After in the pattern. Yeah, it's 28 count fabric. I dyed it myself. It may have shrunk. I don't know. It's not a lot of fun to work on, but also my eyesight is doing some weird things, so I need to get that addressed, and that may take care of the problem as well. The next thing I'm going to show you is not a stitch along. This is the Celestial Dragon, and in my whip parade, I told you that I had lost the original pattern. I had gone and purchased a digital pattern from Patterns Online, and apparently you can't do that anymore. Somebody on my last video mentioned that the dragons have all been pulled, or maybe on Instagram, but someone informed me after the fact that the dragon patterns have all been pulled down from Patterns Online, unfortunately. I have quite the collection of Teresa Wensler. I collected her and stitched her. Not completely. I have lots of starts, but no finishes. Back in the day when they first came out. I bought this back in the day when it first came out. Yeah, so I lost the pattern. I printed out a copy of the digital pattern, and then I lost that, so I had to print it again. In the last week, of course, because telling the internet fixes everything, in the last week I have discovered or found my first digital pattern. So I have 2 copies of the digital pattern now, and, believe it or not, I found the original pattern. This is the original leaflet. The copyright on it is 2001, if that tells you how long this has been sitting around. It's moved 2 or 3 times with me, so I've had it, and then I lose it again. But yeah, this is the actual leaflet. This is after she stopped doing hand-drawn patterns, however, so this is not as difficult to read as some of them are. I also found the beginnings of a Carousel Horse that I'd started and never finished. So yeah, it was a good week for finding things. Anyway, I didn't have the pattern to show you last time of what he will look like when he's finished. That's what the Celestial Dragon looks like. And this is where I am. Now, you can see what I stitched. I worked on putting in more of the border and the swoopy thing. I did actually put some stitches in on the dragon that may or may not show up. I was, as you can see, I was beading and backstitching as I went along when I worked on this before, so I will try to do that again, though I'm not anywhere near being ready to add more beads yet. But yeah, Teresa Wensler. The other thing that I worked on, well, okay, let me pause the video one more time and I'll go and get a couple of things. Back again. So one of the things that I'm working on is this year's linen and thread stitch along, the free stitch alongs from Brendan Kirk. And this year's stitch along is not a band sampler. Normally his stitch along patterns are band samplers. They are free. You can go to the Linen and Threads website and download the patterns for 2017, 2018, and now this year, 2019. This one is not a band sampler. This one is a square sampler. It is called Peacocks Garden, and this is my progress on it. He's not finished, and it's January 31st. The clue for February is already out. It is the border or inner borders of the garden itself, so we know what the layout will look like, which is very nice, and I'm very excited to get to that month. I had hoped to be able to keep up with this. I'm not. Yeah, I'm just not. That's fine. Again, I'm not pressuring myself. I'm stitching as I want to stitch. So anyway, this is my progress on Peacock Garden. This is Phineas the Peacock. He has a magnificent tail that I am working on, but is obviously not completed. I am stitching him on 18 count Ada. I am stitching him with Sulky in the colorway Peacock Plume, which I thought was appropriate. And yeah, he's a lot of fun. The pattern is a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to see how it looks. Being not a band sampler, I'm used to band samplers. Again, as I said, I'm used to band samplers from Brandon, and the fact that this isn't one makes it even more interesting and even more exciting. The other thing I'm working on is for the Harry Potter group, the School of Magical Stitching and Literature. There are reading challenges in there as well. So even if you're not interested in doing the stitching challenges, if you want to go back and read the books again or listen to the audiobooks, you can do that as well. Great. This week, we get homework assignments every week. This week, our assignment was detention, which was that we have to stitch 300 stitches on our least favorite project. My least favorite project happens to be... Sorry, I'm looking down. I thought the book was here. And it is not. And I don't know where it went, but that's all right. That's neither here nor there. I have been working on The Celestial Dragon by Joan Eliot. Another Celestial Dragon. And this is for my husband. He requested it because he bought me a book of her patterns. And the payment for that was that I needed to stitch this particular pattern. I started to stitch it on a piece of fabric that I dyed. It did not work out. I was dyeing it in the wrong way, and the fabric shrunk, and it was just too difficult to work on. I restarted it on a piece of 18 count Ada that is dyed by Fantasy Dyed Fabrics. It is an opalescent fabric, and I think I made a mistake because the opalescentness of the fabric is driving me a little bit crazy. Makes it a little more difficult to stitch on. The colors are also not exactly popping off of the fabric, but I'm going to persevere. I'm going to get this done. It will look amazing when it's finished, and I'm using that to motivate me. But our homework assignment this week was to stitch 300 stitches on a piece, our least favorite work in progress. The Celestial Dragon is my least favorite, and so I have been working on him, and really, I'm not sure how much of that you're going to be able to see because, like I said, it doesn't pop off of the fabric. But this is the back of the top of the back ridge of the dragon. This is the bottom of a wing. This is the inside of a wing, which I am adding more to. Yeah. You can't see the sparkliness on this because I have the light moderated so it's not washing me out. But this is a very sparkly opalescent fabric. And it's distracting. And yeah. Not my favorite piece to work on. But I'm a little more than halfway through my 300 stitches. I will get it done by the time homework is due, and yeah, I'll also make progress on the project for my husband, and that's a good thing. One last thing I wanted to say, talky bit. Speaking of Joan Eliot, I am also working on Hummingbird Maiden of hers. It is the first book in, and this one I do have. It's this pattern. It is this lovely woman. She's the Hummingbird Maiden. She's the first pattern in this book. You can also buy her individually. And I mentioned the pattern itself is printed with blocks of color. There are no symbols in the blocks of color, but there are blocks of color. There are a few shades of yellow and green and things like that that are pretty close. And in order to figure out which color I'm supposed to use, you have to compare the block in the pattern to the block on the color key, which is really difficult when you don't want to tear a page out of the book and fold it up and try to compare them. I have tried color copying it, and that didn't really work either. So I mentioned on Joan's Facebook group that I was having trouble with that, and I wondered if there was a symbol chart anywhere that would help me out a little bit. Joan Eliot herself responded to me privately and said that if I would contact her, if I would give her my address, she would send me something that would help. Now, I thought maybe she would send an email or a list of the colors and where they go or something simple. Instead, she sent me a printed copy of the pattern with symbols on it. So I no longer have to struggle. I now know which shade goes where in the pattern. And she didn't charge me anything for it. She sent it to me free of charge. She sent me an email letting me know it had been sent. She gave me a tracking number so I knew when it would arrive. It's amazing. I mean, she went above and beyond what she needed to do. She went above and beyond what I expected her to do. And I want to spread the word about what a wonderful person she is. She's an amazing designer. I mean, I know a lot of you know that anyway, but she's also an amazing person, and I want to thank her publicly. I want to spread the word publicly. If you have any patterns that you have seen of hers that you are interested in getting, please go to her website. I think it's joaneliot.wordpress.com. She has an order chart packs page. She supplies her own chart packs, her own patterns to you for very reasonable prices. She ships anywhere. You can see everything she's got available, a lot of things that are out of print. And I'm considering ordering directly from her. Now, that's not to say if you have a shop that you like to go through, if you have a particular place that you get your things and they can order from Joan as well, please continue to patronize them. I'm not trying to take money away from anybody. But if you're having trouble finding things, or you just want to support the designer directly, go and look at her webpage, because she's got everything that's available is there. And like I said, her customer service was above and beyond so wonderful. I'm probably going to go and order things that I don't necessarily need, because I really don't need more patterns, but I want them, and they're Joan Eliot patterns, and she's wonderful. And yeah, gush, gush, gush. Honestly. The one thing, please don't take advantage of this. Like I said, I have purchased the book, I have the pattern, I own it, and she did not charge me to send me another copy of the pattern. Please don't take advantage of that. Please don't cheat her. Please don't lie and say you have a pattern you don't have in the hopes that she will send you one. I know the majority of you watching this video would never do that. There are a few who might, and I'm really hoping that those who might don't watch my videos. Or if you do, that you'll think twice about doing this, because it's so generous of her to have done that, and I really don't want her to have to stop doing that because people abuse her generosity. That's my only disclaimer. Okay, that is everything I have to show you, everything I've worked on for the last 2 weeks, which is quite a lot compared to what I normally work on when I was trying to do focused chunks of stitching. I will do my best to be back in a couple of weeks. One of the other reasons why my time has been eaten up is that while I have had health issues, I have also been doing theater. I'm an actress, love the theater. I hadn't done theater for quite a while. I've been doing theater pretty much nonstop since last summer. Yes, while I was having issues, but I managed to work around them. But I've been in a play pretty much from May of last year until the show I'm in now. And I am going to auditions this weekend. So, yeah. So my time does get a little bit eaten up sometimes, but I will do my best to be back. I will do my best to stay on track. And again, if you're coming back, you're watching me, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to ask me questions or leave comments down below, and I will do my best to get back to you. If you're new, if somebody recommended you, or if you just happened to stumble across my video and you're new, thank you for being here. I hope you come back. I hope you enjoy what you see. And yeah, that's it for this week. I hope you are all in good health. I hope you are all happy. I hope you're not too cold. Those of you in the Midwest who are in that polar vortex, please stay inside. Please stay warm. Make sure your animals are inside. If you happen to go outside and you see somebody who is on the street and you can afford to help them in any way, whether that's food or money or clothing or giving them a ride to a shelter, please help those people out, because it is so cold. It is deathly cold, quite literally, and they need your help. So fortunately, in California, we're not having that problem right now, and I'm not rubbing that in either, but do what you can to help your fellow human being, because, yeah, we all need a little bit of help sometimes. And enjoy your stitching. Have a good time stitching. I hope you get a lot of good progress. If you're joining in on this School of Magical Stitching, I hope you're having fun. If you're doing stitching roulette, I hope that's fun. If you haven't considered it, think about it if you're feeling a little bogged down in your stitching. And yeah, I'm talking so much that I'm getting out of breath, so I'm gonna stop. I will see you next time. Bye.